There is no reason why any president must consider preemptive pardons.
So now we're in a situation where every party's going to come in, everybody gets their security blanket pardon.
But that's their fault. They're the ones that go out. They're the ones that go out there and they stand on this moral high ground. Listen, they don't have to do that.
So I guess pardoning Hunter was not enough. Now Biden wants to protect Adam Schiff, Dr. Anthony Fauci, and Liz Cheney with preemptive pardons. Ladies and gentlemen, this is corruption on full display. So the Biden White House considers preemptive pardons for Fauci, Liz Cheney, and Adam Schiff. Now, before I even read any further, why would you need a preemptive pardon if you never broke the law, right? Clearly, you must have done something, right? And please don't use that whole, well, Trump is going to weaponize the Department of Justice. Well, obviously, you guys have already done that, of course, right? Let's continue here. President Joe Biden's administration is reportedly debating the possibility of issuing preemptive pardons to current and former public officials who could be targeted when President-elect Donald Trump takes office. Biden's senior aides are concerned about officials who could face inquiries or even indictments under a Trump presidency. My thing is this, shouldn't they face inquiries? I mean, are you telling me that these people don't deserve to face an inquiry at a minimum? You mean they should be able to be protected, but the people that served under the Trump administration were not protected? I mean, again, this is them tripling down on the mistake Joe Biden has already made. This whole having the moral high ground and being the party of democracy and no one is above the law, that's in the trash. And if he moves forward with this, you could just kiss the party goodbye. These concerns have also been motivated by Trump's announcement that Kash Patel would lead the FBI during his administration. Now, again, I'm a type of person that's like, you're going to have to show me. Right now, I give Trump the benefit of the doubt. I truly believe his administration is going to be more focused on fixing Washington, cutting the fat, right? Capitalizing on Doge, which could be instrumental to his entire legacy in this second administration, is just leverage Elon Musk and Vivek. And if he can do that, everything else is just like icing on the actual cake, right? So I don't really believe he's going to want to spend majority of his presidency being known as the person who weaponized the DOJ against his political opponents, if that's what you want to call it. Because of these concerns, White House officials are weighing the unprecedented move of issuing blanket pardons for individuals who have not been charged with any crimes. However, questions remain about the optics and implications of such an action, both because it could suggest impropriety, only fueling Trump's criticisms, and because those offered preemptive pardons may reject them. And among those who are believed to potentially be targeted under the administration are Senator-elect Adam Schiff, former GOP Congresswoman Liz Cheney, and Dr. Anthony Fauci. Discussions about blanket pardons also follow Biden's controversial decision to pardon his son, Hunter, after previously stating he did not plan to do so. Also, he could pardon his brother as well. That's not mentioned in this story, but it should be. Now, Adam Schiff dismissed the notion of a blanket pardon, saying that he would urge the president not to do that. Quote, "I think it would seem defensive and unnecessary," he said. So let's just get this straight, okay? Adam Schiff's role in spreading the Russia hoax, Liz Cheney portrayal of conservative values, and Dr. Anthony Fauci's pandemic policies all warrant inquiries and scrutiny, not immunity, people. This type of move is only going to fuel more public outrage against the establishment, the system, the elites, which seems to rig everything in their favor while average Americans suffer under that same rule of law standard, right? This is just a reminder of why Trump's 2024 campaign is so critical. It's about restoring accountability, draining the swamp, and building back up public trust between the American people and the government. Okay, so let's hear some of these excuses they're coming up with to justify this type of action from Joe Biden. Here's Dan Goldman on MSNBC.
I think the fact that they have to have that discussion says everything about Kash Patel and Donald Trump's nominees. There is no reason why any president must consider preemptive pardons because the incoming administration has made it so clear that they will go after political adversaries, and Kash Patel has been incredibly vocal about that. And I hope that the Senate Republicans, who know Joe Biden very well and know he would not take something something like this lightly, really consider the fact that that's even part of this discussion about Kash Patel. He is unqualified. He is unhinged. He has made it very clear that he is out for retribution. He is sending cease and desist letters and lawsuits. This is a dangerous person to head up our top law enforcement agency. And just the fact that this is even part of the conversation says everything that the Senate Republicans should need to hear.
Okay, let's do it the other way, Dan Goldman. Okay. The only other reason why a president would have to consider preemptive pardons is because there's massive corruption under his umbrella. Yeah, that's exactly what's going on, dating all the way back to when he was vice president. Now, Dan Goldman wasn't the only one pushing this type of idea. Jennifer Rubin from the Washington Post is also talking about preemptive pardons and blaming it on Trump. Check it out.
And I've come to the conclusion that Trump has sort of broken the mold once again. And so Biden needs to break the mold once again. Although the vast, vast majority of the people that Trump has his eye on, maybe all of them, frankly, have committed no crime, that is not going to stop him and Kash Patel and the rest of them, Pam Bondi at the Justice Department, from coming after them. So prospectively, what can Biden do? Well, he can issue blanket pardons to entire categories of people for any conduct relating to Donald Trump. It would cover everyone from witnesses in a trial or in a congressional proceeding. Poor Cassidy Hutchinson. You recall her. She was a star witness at the January 6th hearing. It would cover journalists. It would cover anyone who he has identified by name or type. Can he do that? Absolutely.
Yeah. So the issue here is an example of true brainwashing, right? I mean, that's really what's going on with the left these days. I mean, they just can't see the light or the truth about anything, and they're unwilling to criticize Joe Biden for anything as well, especially progressives. So this has led to them doing the most easiest thing that they can do. Instead of blaming Biden and criticizing him, they're going to blame Trump for this type of move and put it all on him on why this makes sense. Now, if you use common sense, you know this does not make any sense whatsoever. If you think Joe Biden has any ounce left of a good legacy, it's definitely over after this type of move. Now, the irony of this entire story is that when you flip it over to the other side and the Trump transition team, it's being reported that Matt Gaetz reached out to Trump about a blanket pardon because he feared that the government would come after him with inquiries and the like. And hear what happened.
Gaetz did two things. Publicly on Fox News, and I think he tweeted it, he said that the former president should pardon literally everybody. I think he mentioned the Thanksgiving turkey. He talked about Joe Exotic, because in his words, the quote-unquote liberal crowd was going to come after allies of the president. There was also a private conversation that he had with White House officials about a blanket pardon. He wanted one for himself. He was suggesting one for allies of his in Congress. We're not sure specifically who. White House officials thought it was bizarre and knocked it down pretty quickly. He paints this picture of somebody who sought a blanket pardon ostensibly because he thought he'd be targeted because of the former president. But now allies of the former president are looking back on it and questioning whether this was an effort to protect himself because he knew what was going on. So he has, I should just note, denied wrongdoing.
And so the White House, they didn't take this seriously at the time?
The officials in the White House who learned of it thought it was very strange. They were perplexed by it. They didn't want to go ahead with it. They thought, among other things, it would set a bad precedent, and it died fairly quickly.
So you have the sitting president of the United States who is issuing pardons to his son and considering issuing preemptive pardons to his allies. But then you have a president-elect who clearly could have issued one to Matt Gaetz and rejected it. So what does that say about the people who truly believe they are above the law? Now, in this scenario, in this certain context, clearly Joe Biden believes he's above the law, no question. I just find that irony to be interesting, don't you? Now, here is NBC Chuck Todd actually railing against this type of thinking from Joe Biden and criticizing this move. Check this out.
So now we're in a situation where every party's going to come in, and as they leave, everybody gets their security blanket pardon. Okay, how long do you want it? You want a 10-year window? Because we now have established this 10-year window of whatever you can, this get out of jail free card. Is it going to be June 15th, 2015, the day he came down the escalator, to July 20th, 2029? Well, guess what? There's now a precedent for it. That's what's so damaging about this decision. Guess what? I understand he probably couldn't live with himself if he didn't do it. And ultimately, I get it.
Yeah.
But this has done real damage to the country.
Okay, so let's just think about this. Preemptive pardons are unprecedented in their scope, essentially offering immunity for potential crimes before investigations even conclude. I mean, how does that even make sense, right? I mean, this creates a dangerous standard where future presidents could shield their allies from consequences, eroding trust in the rule of law. Now, we know that trust is very low today. Now, imagine if Trump had done this for his administration. He would have been labeled an authoritarian for doing something like this by the same people who are defending Biden when it comes to doing this, right? Now, I just told you the same people that would defend Biden for doing this are the same people who would criticize Trump for doing this. So let's go back in time 4 years ago. Here's Joy Reid doing just that.
Barack Obama never had to think about whether he needed to pardon Sasha and Valia. And yet, Donald Trump is reportedly discussing pardons for his kids. The presidential pardon was originally meant to grant the president the power to temper justice with mercy. It was not enshrined in our Constitution so that a dishonorable man could reward his criminal allies, friends, and family for their corrupt practices. Trump is considering preemptive pardons for his adult children. Late last night, we learned that Trump has discussed preemptive pardons for his 3 eldest progeny. The news was first reported by the New York Times.
Now, in that context 4 years ago, you can understand why Trump would at least discuss it, given that his entire presidency, he was being investigated. So I could reason with that. Now, he did not obviously do it, and he did not pardon his son. So there's that, right? And again, they will criticize Trump for doing that, but praise Biden for doing that. And just to show you another example of this mess that's going on is check out Whoopi Goldberg losing it when Charlemagne criticizes Joe Biden for pardoning his son.
After repeatedly saying he would never do it. And a lot of people are saying that it's hypocritical, etc., as if the other side doesn't do it. But what's your reaction to it?
I mean, I think all of the criticism is valid because, Democrats stand on this moral high ground all the time. And, they act so self-righteous. The reality is he didn't have to say anything in regards to, whether or not, his son wanted to be pardoned. He could have said, hey, man, I'm not focused on that right now. But since they were calling Trump a threat to democracy and they were saying that, nobody's above the law, but they were speaking about him, that's what they were running on. So when he kept saying things like, nobody's above the law, I respect, the jury's decision in regards to my son, he didn't believe that. But he didn't have to volunteer that lie to begin with.
I'm going to stop you for a second.
Uh-oh.
Only because you don't know that it was a lie.
Now, either Whoopi Goldberg is really this stupid or she's a great actress, right? Because no one on that show really believes what she just said. Okay, the president of the United States just, because of what Trump's doing, is going to pardon his son. Come on, man. Okay, can we exercise some level of intelligence? We know what's going on here, okay? Joe Biden has plenty of crimes that he's trying to cover up, and it's not just about Hunter Biden. It's him, going all the way back to when he was the vice president in 2014, by the way.
We don't know why he changed
You really think he just changed his mind over Thanksgiving weekend all of a sudden?
I'm going to tell you what I think.
Okay.
Yeah. I think he changed his mind because he got sick of watching everybody else get over. And this is just my feeling, because at some point you get to the place where you just go, so I'm just going to follow the straight and narrow always, because that's what's expected of Democrats.
But that's their fault. They're the ones that go out. They're the ones that go out there and they stand on this moral high ground. They don't have to do that.
I'm a Democrat. Tell me what the moral high ground is.
The moral high ground is nobody's above the law. I respect what the jurors are saying. He don't have to do that.
Okay, well, the unfortunate part about that entire exchange is clearly it's a waste of time because no one really wants to be open-minded and truly criticize Joe Biden, like I've been saying throughout this video today. And although Charlemagne has come out and definitely criticized Joe Biden, we know how he voted in the end. So what does it really matter, right? But the bottom line is this. If the Democratic Party truly wants to win future elections, they're going to have to rebuild trust with average everyday Americans. They have zero trust in our institutions. And no, it's not because of Trump. It's because of things just like this that we're talking about in this video. I mean, this is insane. Now, of course, they've been using the excuse that, it's because of Trump and him appointing Kash Patel to be the FBI director, which points to the real question as of today. Does Kash Patel have good odds to become the FBI director? Well, CNN thinks so. Check this out.
Kash Patel has been picked to run the FBI by Donald Trump. If he's confirmed, what do his nomination odds look like this evening?
Significantly higher than Pete Hegseth to be defense secretary. I mean, here's a key nugget. I mentioned those 3 senators, right? You could afford to lose 3 GOP votes. At this particular point for Patel to be the FBI head, the key number here, 0. That's how many GOP senators have come out against him. So at this particular hour, if Hegseth's nomination is in trouble, Kash Patel to lead the FBI seems to be climbing ever higher, Caitlin Collins.
So that's great news. Now, obviously, we'll see what happens come the confirmation hearings. But I love to hear that, and I wish I could hear that for all of the nominees, right? And one of those nominees particularly is Pete Hegseth. And I just find it funny how corrupt these politicians truly are and how much they will flip-flop. Here is Lindsey Graham backtracking on his lack of confidence for Pete Hegseth. Check this out.
I've known Pete for a long time. I served with him in Afghanistan. The people over there said nothing but great things about him. The allegations against Pete are all anonymous sources. I am not going to make any decision based on an anonymous source. If you're not willing to raise your hand under oath and make the accusation, it doesn't count. I've heard everything about all these people. None of it counts. No rumors, no innuendo.
But you were there for the Kavanaugh hearings.
I've seen this movie before.
I've seen the movie, maybe your finest moment in the U.S. Senate, because you got pissed off because the stories kept changing, more evidence came out, and it was clear to me that we weren't getting told the truth the whole time.
Well, it was a bunch of anonymous sources, and the people that did come forward, it made no sense. They were trying to destroy Judge Kavanaugh's life.
So my question for Lindsey Graham, why didn't you say that the first time you were asked about these allegations against Pete Hegseth? Where was that type of response? Because you clearly didn't say any of that, right? But I'm not surprised that he had to come out and kind of correct course, because it's going to be a long 4 years for you, Lindsey Graham, if you ever plan to continue to be reelected, but you come out against Trump's nominees, right? I mean, he needs to wake up on that. Now, some of you guys might be asking, well, DeVore, you believe that Trump isn't going to actually focus on weaponizing the DOJ. So what will he focus on? Well, here's Stephen Miller on Sean Hannity tonight, outlining the first 100 days of the Trump presidency. Check it out.
Let me paint a picture for you, Sean, of those first 100 days. Rapid, total, complete deregulation of American energy exploration. You're going to see an American energy boom starting right away. You're going to see all the regulations that are strangling job growth in this country and driving up prices, driving up housing costs, go away. You're going to see the border sealed shut. The criminal aliens are going to be shipped home, and foreign countries around the world are going to accept the gang members and the cartel members that are poisoning our families and murdering American children. You are going to see peace begin to restore to the world as the president works to bring back harmony in the Middle East, harmony in Europe. You're going to see him work with Congress to pass another round of historic tax relief. And you're going to see a government that is accountable to the people again. The swamp will be drained on day one. Incompetent and disloyal people that are hurting this nation are going to be replaced with those who care only for the American people, the American worker, and the American future. That's what's going to happen. It will be a new golden age, Sean.
Well, that's exactly why people voted for Trump, and that's exactly what we want to hear. Now, here's a question I'd like for you guys to answer in the comment section below. Do you think Biden's preemptive pardons are protecting justice or destroying accountability in Washington? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Now, speaking of destroying accountability in Washington, the media is attacking Pete Hegseth every single day with increasing amount of hit pieces. Now, the one thing that I have come to respect about Pete so far is his willingness to fight back, and that's exactly what he did this morning. He spoke with Trump, then he came out and he spoke to the press. If you guys want to check out that story and many more from earlier today, all you have to do is click on that video because it's coming up right now.